Hello, friends. Smooth Science Girl here. So, I want to start out by that you might have had a chance to see. And so I took a real quick snip of these so that you can see. And I'm going to write on here or type what we think some of these. So remember that you did some notes about chemical and physical changes. We're going to talk about that more today. So we can also look at some of the things that we know is a physical change versus a chemical change. So let's look at this first one. This was gallium, which was really cool. And you could actually melt it in your hand or with warm water. But then after, it can solidify again. So all you're doing is changing the shape of it. It still is the same type of material and you haven't recombined it. So all it is a state of matter. So this is definitely a physical change. Okay. How about this next one? This was a kind of a weird one, and you might not have gotten all the chemicals that were involved here, but it ended up looking cloudy, and we had something that formed actually called a precipitate. Precipitate. There we go. And a precipitate means that you've changed, it's gotten kind of chunky. So this would be another example of a chemical change. If the density has changed. Now, I believe that you can influence it and make it go backwards because I think they talked about the pH, and we'll have to talk about that a little bit different. How about this? Oh, the famous elephant toothpaste. Definitely chemical change here. You can't go backwards. This is with hydrogen peroxide. The stronger the hydrogen peroxide, the better. I believe this was a hydrogen foil balloon that they lit on fire, kind of like the Hindenburg. This definitely an explosion here, chemical change. We didn't have very many physical. And the last one, this Kush ball, you know, at first it seemed like this should be a physical change because it was shrinking, right? The only thing though I noticed is that it started the liquid nitrogen. It made some of the Kush ball pieces fall off. So if it ruined it and actually made it disintegrate, disintegrate, then that would be a chemical change. So I saw a little bit of both, but if it just makes it shrink in liquid nitrogen, then that's just a physical change. Okay, so here's another we're going to go to another, which I kind of thought was cool. So I wanted to show you, so notice this says chemistry up here because chemistry is the study of matter, and you'll be able to actually take this class in the high school. But I really like this because it's talking about the difference between physical reaction and a chemical reaction is composition. So in a chemical reaction, there is a change in the composition of the substances. In a physical, there's a difference in the appearance, the smell, or the display of the sample of matter without a change in the composition. So if you look, physical change has to do with texture, color, temperature, shape, changes of state, physical properties, luster, density, viscosity. Chemical change, on the other hand, can be quite different. A chemical change, okay? Chemical change occurs when the substance composition is changed. And sometimes these are indications. Again, a change in color, a change in temperature, maybe giving off heat, For example, if you've ever heard of when you do a glow-in-the-dark necklace and you break it, and then inside the chemical starts to glow, that's a chemical change. An odor, a forming of a precipitate. Oh, we talked about that. Bubbles, like baking soda and vinegar. Okay, and then this website goes on to talk about, what does texture mean? What does color mean? Temperature, shape, changes of state. And then I love this, because these are, you might want to use this a little bit later in the week with your own experiment. Viscosity, what a great, for example, the difference between molasses and water. Change in temperature, fireworks, we talked about that. Changes in color, okay? Barium carbonate, right there. That's the experiment that you saw with the yellow. Formation of bubbles. So all of this stuff I'm going to attach to your Shobi account so that you can look at all this, because this is very interesting. All right, the other share that I want to do is from our camera. And you have a sheet that's attached onto Shobi. And it looks like this. So I just want to go through and explain this a little bit, okay, so that you can see. And one of the things that's really important when we talk about reading and writing in science is that when we read and write in science, this is usually nonfiction, okay? And we look at informational text. So if you see this, see where it says using 2 informational texts on the same topic. Informational text is text that has information in it. And so this side, you'll see, is all about chemical change, okay? And the other side is all about physical change. So what I want you to do is that you've got this Venn diagram down here where you've got things about chemical change, things about physical change, and in the center, what do we put? Stuff that they have in common, okay? So I want you to read the informational text, write down ideas of chemical change or definitions, maybe even use that website that I showed you, then read about physical change, put your physical change, and then before you write what they have in common, I want you to go back and reread it again, okay? So reread it again and see if you can fill out this center. And when you are done, I will have your teachers upload a key to this worksheet where you can check it, okay? Because this is really important that you understand chemical and physical change, because we're going to get ready to do our own experiment. All right, see you later, science friends.